G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is an MSBS Grot as part of the Escape from Boston series of weapon mods. And if you haven't guessed from the gibberish at the top of the screen, this is a Polish-made rifle, and don't you worry, we'll be deciphering this in just a second. But it was first designed in 2007 and then produced in full proper in 2018, which is not too long ago in the grand scheme of things. So as far as modern firearms go, they don't make them much moderner than this thing. It's so modern that this thing's actually being used in the Russia-Ukrainian war that's happening right now. Poland sent like 10,000 of these or so over, and then they're going to be shooting Russians with them. So you go, Ukraine, you defend yourself against external tyranny. Anyways, so this thing, a bullpup version of this thing, that's where the B comes from, but FB Radom is just the manufacturer of this weapon. They're a Polish arms manufacturer. You can see the symbol, the logo on that, on the back of the gun just there. But MSBS roughly translates from Polish into modular firearm system, and Grot actually means spearhead, which sounds so much cooler in English, but we'll be calling it a spearhead from now, but in Polish it's just Grot, which sounds like something that snails would devour at the bottom of your garden. Oh no, the snails have eaten all the Grot again. Hate when that happens. So, like I said, there's a bullpup designed on this thing. That's where the B comes from. There are ones where they've got a more conventional sort of rifle style, but there's inherent advantages for a bullpup style weapon. You've got a long barrel length despite not having a long overall rifle length, which means it's good for accuracy, good in close quarter situations where maneuverability is your friend. So that's helpful, and in video games you get better hipfire accuracy in general, at least some of them that I've played. But there's a lot of attachments to go through and some sort of interesting stuff they've done for this as well. So we'll get into it real fast. So first of all, you've got the fire selector here, and if you just see the fire selector there, it moves back and forth when you change things. For some reason, the semi-auto is just incredibly weak compared to the full auto. The DPS you'll get out of the semi-auto version would be absolutely nothing compared to the full auto, so I hesitate to use that. We will be testing this on the semi-auto version, but for all intents and purposes, only use this thing as full auto if you decide to download this thing yourself. Legendary effect is there if you need it. We'll ignore it. You can change the material from black, FDE, FD, and black, olive drab black, and white. We'll go for white here because that looks cool. And that also says Supreme here, so go away, feds. I'm not that kind of white person. Now, next up, we've got the right rail, which is the rail on the right of the gun, which you can attach on laser sights, including blue ones. And there's also flashlights as well, if you feel like it, which is pretty nice. And they'll override your Pip-Boy flashlight. You'll have a nice little spotlight on the front of your rifle. So if you want all of the immersion, then that's good. Next up, this is your main damage slider here, this ammo point, which gives you plenty of extra flavor text here. But the main thing you want to be looking at when your choice of the particular rounds you're going to use, all using the 5.56 by the way, is this number right here. The higher the better, although there's a lot of AP variants in this thing, but honestly I'd rather just get that straight up extra damage because then the multipliers can go out a little bit further should we use them. So the Mark 262 Mod 1s, which are 77 grain, yeah, whatever, just flavor, but they've got accuracy and terminal effectiveness. That's great. I love it when terminals run good. Right now, you can have a laser sight on, off. You can change it into a beam or a dot if you feel like it. I like having a blue beam, so we'll select that one and we'll move on. You can also have stuff on the top rail, which means if you feel like it, you can completely cover this thing in laser sights for supreme hipfire accuracy. You can have a blue, a red, and a green one at the same time for a Technicolor display of blinding in multiple dimensions. Brilliant, right? Maybe? No. Let's go over to the left rail. Again, same sort of thing. You can potentially put flashlights and have the power of the sun in the palm of your hands. And next up, we've got muzzle slots. All of these muzzles are either flash hiders, compensators, or muzzle brakes. The good stuff is in a different thing, so we'll leave that for now. But you can also throw in a bunch of foregrips, all in different colors. So if you've got an FDE colored gun, you can throw in an FDE colored angled grip, for example. We'll find a nice vertical grip for this. The stubby one looks pretty cool, I guess. The angled one is also pretty nice. There we go. long one for grip effectiveness. Next up, we've got the sights here, which you can put mounts on. So if you've got a laser sight on the front of this and you need to have your sight clear that for a better sight picture, you can throw on these mounts. And if you do throw on these mounts in any which color you want, we'll pick that one. What'll happen is on the mount, you'll find an extra sight thing, and you can attach on a couple of different sights. So if you decide, again, to put anything there or have backup iron sights that might be in the way, if you don't flip them down, you can have a nice sight there that'll clear out, and maybe it'll make it a little bit more comfortable for the shooter, not having to hunker down to right down to the actual cheek stock butt of the gun to use it. But that's cool, right? Let's throw on the aim point, that one. Sure, why not? Looks cool. And we've also got a battery cap. It changes the cap of the battery, which I believe is on this side of the rifle. Okay, is that really necessary? Can we list that as a proper attachment thing? I don't think so. And there's also backup irons you can throw on. There's also white ones too, so we'll throw those on just in case the aim point runs out of battery. Just kidding, they don't run out of batteries. Alright, where are we up to? Because the attachments like shifting themselves around. We've already gone over the muzzles and foregrips. You can have a different magazine. The only one worth really thinking about is this 60 round mag down here. Gun nut rank 4, of course, but you get 60 rounds in your magazine, and if you don't particularly like the reload animation, you'll see it less that way. But the reload animation is good, if you are wondering. Now, where are my bloody suppressors? Stand by, I'll find it. Okay, for some reason you need to attach on a different muzzle, and then you'll be able to throw a suppressor on, which I believe would change depending on what kind of particular muzzle thing you use. So we'll throw on one of these. Looks like a Scar H muzzle hider, flash hider, sorry. Muzzle hider, I wish. Next up, alright, go over to this. There we go. That's a much more appropriately colored suppressor. I don't know why it requires the use of a flash hider. Maybe it assists the suppressor in doing stuff. But there we go. There's one of our grots, our spearheads. It'll make some more and we'll shoot stuff. Okay, so I didn't manage to find this particular weapon in any vendors, but post level 20, it'll start spawning in via level list injection, and that's how you get this thing. So yeah, pay attention to that sentence, and you can find this thing. It also is able to be found on gunners post level 20, so we'll be looking at our gunners, make sure they've got the weapon in their hands, and if we don't, maybe there's some bugs going on. And if you can hear that in the background, that is the sound of infinite reverb. This thing is a semi-auto version with a scope, but when I fire this thing, the reverb sound keeps looping and it's off in the background. If you can't hear it, then great, that's fine. But if you can hear it, we're just gonna have to live with it for the rest of the video, because I ain't gonna bother rebooting this thing. We'll have a quick look at this thing in third person. Great. Looks awesome, doesn't it? Yes, very nice. This is the FDE version. Everything's all tan except for the suppressor. That's half and half, and this one here is covered in laser sights for that all-important hipfire accuracy. And I've got a bunch of, well, not a bunch of, but one tracer mod installed so we can see exactly how far this thing is. Now, weirdly enough, and I want to point this out, that this particular weapon mod, they've said that they want it to be a little bit less powerful than other 5.56 mods, probably Warfighters, because he always makes them strong. But if you look at the numbers on the version that I've got right here with the automatic and suppressor, 233 is far above average, and just for a little bit of comparison, I think you get 128 with a suppressed vanilla game assault rifle. You get a higher rate of fire than usual, and the recoil is low. That's to compensate for the low power, but no, we've got plenty of power. So I'm not sure whether the semi-auto versions are meant to be the true representation of what this thing's damage is supposed to be. I've actually asked them on the Nexus mod page, and they're yet to get back to me. I don't think they will. Maybe they'll read it in passing and think, maybe I'll need to adjust the damage. But if they don't, not the end of the world. Let's get into shooting people. We'll start off with the version with the scope, and I like this see-through scope right here. I quite enjoy it. Now, you might notice that the scope is directly on target, but this thing's got a bit of spread. And I've heard this thing's not the best weapon in real life, so maybe we can just fucking Polish piece of shit. It's not hitting anything. So Operation Commonwealth Sniper is not a go. In fact, abort mission. What we're going to do instead is we're just going to hose down the trigger. If we get too much of a spread, that's fine. There's another 13 bullets where that thing came from. A 60-round magazine and a weapon like this will be fine. I probably could have chucked a scope on this thing. With the amount of recoil this thing is not giving me at the moment. Like, there's no recoil to speak of. They said low recoil, but error 404, recoil not found. But even if we aren't sneaking, this thing is going to absolutely shred. 233 damage, that ain't nothing. It also sounds pretty good when unsuppressed as well. Like a snare drum, hitting it real fast, but not like a St. Angus snare drum, a little bit different. I'm going to try to get this sniper thing going again as we narrowly get missed by a dude with a with a Gustav. Blow up that car. That did like maybe a 20th of his health of damage. Okay, let me just adjust the aim here. There we go. So at close range like this, we're not going to be missing a shot. Although we can really see the power difference between the versions that are full auto and semi-auto. Let me just hit number 3. This is the semi-auto version with the Russian reflex sight. Dear oh dear. So is this supposed to be the true representation of this thing's firepower or not? Only time will tell, pending further updates. I'm quite happy for it to be sort of more balanced around. Maybe they could tone down the power of the automatic version and instead increase the power of the semi-automatic version so it's at least comparable and competitive. Maybe tone down the spread a little bit so we can make precision shots at range. Give the weapon a little bit of extra flexibility because Fallout 4, as standard, they offer quite a lot of flexibility with their guns. Think of the laser rifle as a perfect example of this, right? So I don't think it's a terrible idea giving this thing just a little bit more, you know? Just making it a little bit better for certain roles if players want to spec their weapons that way. And obviously it's an automatic bullpup rifle, so you're probably not thinking sniper when you look at it, but having that extra capability, someone out there is going to like it. And that someone will probably be me. So, what we'll do now is, well, we'll take out that turret. And I think we'll just go loud and proud for the rest of this because why not? Number 4 here. Supreme hipfire accuracy mode. And of course, like any weapon, they've paid great attention to this thing's reload animations in third person as well. This might be a deal breaker or immersion breaker for some, but in third person, worth mentioning that the laser sights don't particularly line up well. That's aiming. Those laser sights are pointing well below where we're actually shooting, but whatever, that's fine. Now, this thing's actually got a pretty decent range stat on it, so you'll find that getting easy headshots with this thing is, well, easy. So you could potentially extend out your engagement in Vats compared to other vanilla game rifles or other similarly vanilla balanced based rifles, but I think this way maybe that's the kind of flexibility you're supposed to be getting out of the sniper variant here because, well, 95s. I'm gonna add some criticals in the mix here because I somehow missed a 95% shot. Welcome to XCOM, baby. That's just every other day that happens. Alright, so what do we got here? One dude down there. We'll make short work of him. Or her. Depending on what we're feeling like. Alright, looks like there's some dudes over here. There's some Mr. Handies. They're a pretty big target, so we probably shouldn't miss them. But even against this target, it doesn't look... And here's another thing. It doesn't look like we're getting the right keywords on this scope to enable the sniper rank to get us knockdowns, which is kind of a shame because if you can knock them down, then the battle's like half over already because with a high rate of fire like this, you can easily get things. Maybe you need to aim a little bit lower. But is the sight misaligned? I don't really know. I'm just going to spam bullets until I get something. And cracky. Maybe I should cripple that head. That head is nowhere near crippled. Maybe combat inhibitor. Something like that. Okay, that Gorgon's going to be running off and doing something else. That's actually Nerd Rage now. We'll be looking to utilize that a little bit. Perhaps we'll go back over to our suppressed variant. Little Miss Creation Club rifle is over there, and yeah. I don't know if I was just to pick a bad side, or maybe the spread on this thing isn't as noticeable when you're putting 900 rounds a minute downrange, because the misses aren't as consequential. But for whatever reason, it's just not a good sniper gun. But maybe the gun's not good in real life, and that's just a reflection of that. Just a sick, twisted joke played on me and other people who bother to put a scope on this thing. Alright, so that's it for Immersive Gunners Plaza. Funnily enough, this thing not compatible with classic holstered weapons, so maybe there's a couple of missing keywords, I think? Missing keywords on the rifle itself, not allowing it to be worn as an apparel item, which is kind of sad, but whatever. Alright, we want this one done by the book, because this reverb looping sound is driving me crazy. So I think we've got a Settler Man mixed with a couple of mutants of the super variety. So a couple of super mutant warlords, and okay. The fact that I can hit those guys so consistently and the scoped one couldn't, I don't know what's going on there. See the elevator of numbers on the screen? I almost just one-mag Swan. Wow, okay. We're pushing overpowered at this stage, and there's a ghoul over there. You didn't eat the trap settler, did you? No, he just stood there. He just watched that entire fight. He's gonna be like, thanks for your help, maybe? Probably. I don't know. Let's go and shoot something else, I suppose. Why not? Alright, time to kill Yogi Bear and all of his friends. But first, this Raider son's a bitch. He's gotta go down. Now, we could probably do the fight the same as we did last time, but why not start off with a little bit of shooting from this thing. I think we missed even this giant building of a bear, so that'll speak to the inaccuracy of this thing as we just simply dip around him. We'll use the version with the automatic. He just jumped over my head. It was an excellent distraction ploy. Now I'm getting mauled by a bunch of bears. Not cool. They tend to have pretty bad claws, and their teeth are pretty large too, and they'll do a lot of damage too. But now, it is just me and the bear. And I haven't used this thing that much in Vats, so let's give it a little bit of a whirl. Why not? Guarantee those headshots. Maybe add a critical in every time we get one. Another one. Nope, not quite. We do, however, jump in the air and then get sucker punched by a well-timed bear attack. But we could just try to stall this guy. You know what? Why not? Let's do this again. Because at this stage, I think he means... Never mind, he's going away. Well, if you wanna bugger off in that direction, you may as well. And I'm going to get sneak criticals on you and slowly get your health down. And maybe jump through here. What are you gonna do about that? Run past? Thought so. I swear the ground shakes when he walks past. I don't think I'm under any particular pressure at the moment from the bear, so I'm not perceiving things differently, right? There's definitely some screen shake that's happening from the bear. The bear, the NCR. The NCR bear with one head, who likes to get stuck in trees. Now, I'm pretty amazed when I managed to stall my automatic Falcon work car, but he's managed to stall himself and he's on legs. So, that's even more amazing, don't you think? Alright. Take this. 33 whole damage. Keep in mind that when I use the version with the scope, that is boosted by Ace Operator, so... I don't even know why I'm wasting my time doing this, to be honest. We'll finish this nice and quick like. So, it looks like, at the end of the day, that the semi-automatic ones in their current state just aren't worth using, which is a little bit of a shame for aforementioned reasons, of course. But I might be in a bit of trouble here myself. Running a little bit low on the 5.56. The 5.56 expenditure on this rifle, I think, is... I think I just dodged all of that damage too. Cool. On this thing is a little bit high, but if you sneak crit with it, then it's great. Because you get 4 times more ammo consumption benefits, right? So, as we leave this pile of floating bear giblets, I think I'm going to call the video there. So that was the spearhead, but in Polish, and it's a pretty well-made weapon mod. Generally, when I look at things that are right out the bat, sometimes they don't have the time or due diligence to look over everything in this mod. We've picked up a few bugs and things that I would, you know, throw into questions, like why the semi-auto is so weak compared to the auto, and also this annoying reverb that's happening in my ear. And I really hope at home that you can't hear it, because it's driving me mad. I can get some reprieve if I open the Pip-Boy, which I think I'm going to leave this in. Actually, never mind, I still hear it. I will never not hear it. But I think it's a very well-made weapon in terms of its presentation. Some of the number stuff could be improved, which is easy than, like, redoing animations and stuff, so that's great. Also, maybe, I don't think I particularly noticed any gunners at all using this thing, although I slaughtered them too quickly to even realize, so maybe that should be a little bit more testing I need to do with this thing to make sure it's actually injected into the level list. Maybe wait a couple of days and see what I can find. But other than that, it's a well-made weapon mod. Just a couple of things need to be fixed about it. Some audio forms, I think, are a little bit bugged, but recommend it either way. Just don't use it semi-auto at this present point. And if it never gets an upgrade that it needs, then just don't use it in semi-auto ever. And on that note, thank you very much for watching, guys. I'm out of here. Gonna play Redfall tomorrow. Look out for a stream.